Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
So in last class, we learned how to model the short transmission line and to calculate approximate method of voltage regulation applicable only for the short transmission line. It is applicable because there is no shunt part of in the modeling of short transmission line, and we can easily neglect the shunt capacitor of that line. Now for medium transmission line, the voltage line length is in between 80 to 240 kilometer, and voltage and power level are comparatively higher. So voltage level is higher like 66 kV, 132 kV, 33 kV. So in that case, we cannot neglect the capacitance. But there is very less difference in between the distributed effect of the capacitor and the lumped effect of the capacitor. So for the ease of representation, we represent the capacitors in lumped form. That means uh, considered at one places, at a particular place. So there are two type of representation are possible. One is all the series component are at the center of the line, and shunt part are divided equally on the both side of the line. So it looks like a pi. So it is called nominal pi model of transmission line. So this is all summation of R and L. So it is Z, and it is summation of all summation of G and all summation of C by 2. So it is Y by 2 and Y by 2 on both sides. It is called nominal pi, not only pi. Nominal means that it is equivalent, no, it is an approximate representation. Here we are not assuming the resistance or inductance or capacitance are as distributed parameter. We are assuming as they are concentrated at some point. So that's why these are the nominal pi model of the transmission line. Similarly, it may be assumed that total shunt component is at the uh, center of the line, and the series component has divided into two equal parts. Then Z will be divided into two equal parts and Y will be intact. But you must remember both this pi model, nominal pi model and nominal T model are the representation of one transmission line. One single transmission line may be represented in this two way. That means they are whatever calculation we get, whatever prediction we shall get from these two models, that will be near to each other, because that is actually for one unique line. So actually for the medium transmission line, it is better to find out normal ABCD parameter of the line model. Otherwise, every time we have to proceed using the circuit model. So, and if we calculate using ABCD parameter, then it will be a deterministic path for that reason. So this is the nominal pi model of medium transmission line. So this is node M, this is node N, and current through this one is IC1, this is IC2. These two current will obviously not same, because at node end voltage is sending end voltage, at node M the voltage is receiving end voltage. Now if we apply KCL at node M, then what will happen? If we apply KCL at, we shall proceed from receiving end. Why? Because receiving end quantities are known. So in that case, series current, the series branch current will be equal to IR plus IC1. So we shall get this expression. I shall not give any more entry. So how we can find out ABCD parameter? Actually, we need VS and IS in terms of VR and IR as a function of some line quantities, line parameters. So in that way, we can get the ABCD parameters. So for that we need a expression of VS and expression of IS. So for that one we are proceeding to find out I at first, then IS. Then we have got I. Then if we know the I and sending end voltage, Vs is receiving end voltage plus this drop. So this voltage plus this drop will be this voltage. So in this I shall not give any more entry. So this will be the receiving sending end voltage. So sending end voltage is a function of VR and IR. We can write separately in this way. So Vs equal to 1 plus Yz by 2 VR plus ZIR. Similarly, if we made KCL and node n, why KCL at node n is required? Because we need an expression of Is. So Is is I plus IC2. So expression of I we have already got in the first line. So we can put that one here. Along with what is the IC2? IC2 is voltage into I by 2 because this is the current to the admittance. Now voltage at descending end we have already obtained equation using equation 6. Then we can put that one. Then we can put that one in place of Vs, right? So now on right hand side all parameters are only VR and IR. So by mathematical manipulation we can get this Is equal to y into y 1 plus yz by 4 VR and 1 plus yz by 2 IR. And we have already obtained this Vs equal to 1 plus yz by 2 VR and ZIR. Now what is the equation of ABCD parameter? Vs equal to AVR, Is equal to Vs equal to AVR plus BIR and Is equal to CVR plus DIR. So in that way, if we compare these two equations 3 and 4 with 6 and 7, then using comparing equation 3 and 6, we can get A and both A and D are equal to 1 plus yz by 2 and B will come Z and C will come Y plus YZ by 4, right? So from the expression you see A must be unitless because VA equal to AVR. So A should be unitless, then only VS will be equal to AVR, unit will remain voltage. A similar way, B should be impedance, then only Z into I, B may be a voltage. So B must be an impedance. Here B equal to Z, so it is correct. C must be an admittance. You see C is Y into 1 plus YZ by 4. YZ is unitless, so within the bracket term is unitless, but Y is admittance. So C is the admittance, right? So A equal to D equal to 1 plus YZ by 2, B equal to Z and C equal to this much. Now you see A equal to D for the transmission line. That's why transmission line is a symmetrical network. If the A equal to D, then transmission line is symmetrical. That means if you see from the receiving end or the sending end, the input impedance will remain same. Similarly, if AD minus BC, then it is reciprocal network. If we calculate for this using this ABCD parameter, you will get AD minus BC equal to 1. That means it is a reciprocal network. What is the meaning of reciprocal network? If you just reverse the situation, if you send set VS here, here VS receiving end and send current IS, then same voltage will be available at receiving at this side and same current will flow in this side, right? So that is the reciprocal network. That means if the input terminal and output terminal are interchanged, then performance of the network will be same. Then voltage regulation. Here we cannot calculate no load voltage regulation directly. So voltage regulation we can calculate from A. VR no load will be magnitude of Vs by A minus VR by VR, and always we can use the phase quantity or line quantity for calculation. And you must note that both A, D, B and C all are complex quantity. So we have to take this complex quantity as a whole. Similarly, if we try for nominal T model, you will find A and D will be same. Only the expression of B and C will be interchanged. C will be intact as Y mo, and B will be Z into 1 plus YZ by 4. But it is representing the same network. So actually the value of B and C will be very near to each other for the nominal T model or nominal pi model. Now let us solve one example for medium transmission line. Here I have shown all the thing using the nominal pi model. For nominal T model, only the expression of ABCD parameter will be changed, and you derive that expression by yourself using as I have done it for the nominal T model. pi model. So here some line data is given. Line length is 120 kilometer. Resistance is 0.05 ohm per phase per kilometer. Reactance is given. Capacitive admittance is given per phase per kilometer. You must note whether capacitive admittance is given or capacitance is given. According to that, you have to calculate admittance if the capacitance is given. Then it is asked to find out ABCD parameter for nominal pi model and calculate sending end voltage, current, power factor if line delivers a load of 20 megawatt, 25 megawatt and 132 kV at 0.9 power factor lag at receiving end. You see, that means receiving end quantities are given. 25 megawatt at 132 kV at 0.9 lagging power factor at receiving end, right? So from the given data, line length is 120 kilometer, PR is 25 megawatt, line to line voltage at receiving end is 132 kV and cos phi is 0.9 lakh. And if the equation of ABCD parameter is applicable on per phase basis, right? So you have to we can apply that ABCD parameters equations only for phase quantities, not for line quantities. Then because no ABCD parameters does not exist for line quantities, only for phase quantities it will be there. AC remote cool. AC remote. Then from the given parameter, we can calculate total impedance of the line. So resistance plus J into reactance into length of the line in that way. And we can convert it into polar form. You can calculate either in rectangular form or polar form, whatever you are comfortable, but you must learn to use the calculator. Then Y is this one. So we can calculate total Y of the line. Capital Z, capital Y means total impedance, admittance of the line. Small z, small y means per unit impedance or per unit admittance of the line. Then we can calculate A and D equal to 1 plus yz by 2. So this will be the value. You will note that A and D is always the magnitude is near to 1 and angle is near to 0 degree. B is Z, so it is the value, and C is y into 1 plus yz by 4. Since we have used nominal pi model, so this will be the value. You see value of C, actually value of Y was this one, right? And value of C is this one. Now you see C is approximately equal to 1. If we use nominal T model, say CT is the C for nominal T model, then it will be equal to 1. So in that case, it will be equal to this 1.8 into 10 to the power minus 4. So it will be very near to each other. So if you change the model, the value of parameters, ABCD parameter will not be changed so much. So in that way, you can self-check the problem, whether you are going wrong or not. Now we have to convert line-to-line voltage to phase quantity if we want to get the sending end quantities using ABCD parameters. And current in phase quantities is root 3 VL IL cos phi equal to power. So in denominator must be root 3 VL into cos phi, right? And the power factor will be cos inverse 0.9. It is lagging, so negative. So it may be in rectangular form or in polar form. Now what is Vs? Vs is AVR plus BIR. So this Vs is the per phase voltage, right? So if we want to calculate line to line voltage, we have to multiply it by root 3. So it will be this one. Similarly, Is is CVR plus DIR. So we can calculate. So phi s is, what is phi s? Phi s is the power factor angle at receiving end, sending end, angle between Vs and Is. So from the reference here, actually, from the reference, Vs is 3.59 degree leading, Is is lagging. So actually this is reference, then Vs is somewhere here, Is is somewhere here. So actually Is is lagging behind Vs, and we can calculate the angle. So in this way, you must think at once when you are calculating the power factor angle, right? So in that way, we can calculate power factor is cos of this, and since negative, so it is lagging. So what will be sending in power? PS is 3 VSIS cos phi s. So this one. So from there we can calculate the efficiency. Otherwise, we can calculate the power using the equation 3 VSIS conjugate also. So if this is the sending end power, receiving end power is 25. So from there we can calculate P loss in megawatt. Efficiency will be this much. Voltage regulation is magnitude of Vs by A minus VR into 100%. So it will be 4.4%. So if it is not within the range, why we are learning this only to calculate? No. So if it is seen that voltage regulation is 10%, efficiency is 80%, power loss is huge, that means with that sending end voltage, we cannot cater that receiving end voltage. So in that case, we have to increase the receiving end voltage. That there may be a criteria of voltage, say 5 voltage regulation 5%. So from there we can calculate Vs. In that way we can proceed. So that is the design aspect. Here we are calculating for a given value, but that is actually the design aspect. Now the same circuit we may solve, same problem we may solve using the direct circuit model. How we can solve? Then you know IR because load is given. So from there you have to calculate IC1 as we have derived for ABCD parameter. Then we have to calculate I, then total IS. Similarly, from I, you can calculate drop, you can calculate Vs. So in that way, you can calculate it. You calculate it from the direct circuit, from using the direct circuit and draw the phasor diagram. Try to solve the problem using nominal type T model also. For nominal T model, only ABCD parameter will be changed. Otherwise, the calculation procedure will be same. Now, there is another problem. One minute, this is the same problem, I think. Let me see. One minute. The same problem, I think. So let us draw the phasor diagram, right? So this thing we have already calculated. VR, IR, VS, IS. The detailed step I have shown earlier. So how to draw the phasor diagram? So here VR is the reference phasors because VR angle of VR we have taken 0 degree, and at first IR we have taken the angle of IR with respect to VR. We have taken IR as at an angle minus cos inverse 0.9. That means we have taken VR as the reference phasor. And I phi s is this much. That this thing we have already calculated. Let us draw the phasor diagram. So let us assume voltage 1 centimeter equal to KTN kV and current 1 centimeter equal to 20 ampere because we need a scale. So what will be the voltage and current components in phasor diagram? Obviously, all angles are with respect to VR because VR is the reference phasor. So we can calculate the value of voltage, all the phasors in phasor diagram. Which phasors we need? VS, AVR, all those. So all the phasors we can calculate in our scale. Current phasor we can also calculate. You do it yourself. Then you see at first. Say this is the VR. Okay, VR is the reference phasor. But here there is no such difference between VR and AVR. We cannot draw 0.03 degree angle using a protector. So it is approximately equal to AVR. So I have written VR equal to AVR. Then AVR plus BIR is VS. So how much is BIR? 0.6 at an angle 53.03. 57.03 with which 50 line, the 57.03 with the reference. So this angle is 57.03. But actually from the IR, this is the phase of IR. From there, this angle will be 83 degree because VS is AVR plus BIR and angle of B is 83 degree. That's why 57.03 I have not written in here. I have written 83 because 57.03 you can understand when you will revise this note. But 83 is because if it is IR, then if we add BIR here, then this angle must be angle of B, right? This angle must be angle of B. Now you see, the angle of B was 82.87 degree. So I have taken this one approximately 83. Right? So in that way, so VS, AVR plus BIR is VS. So we can get VS. So VS, if you draw from the phasor diagram, you will get this one. And you can verify from here also. So actually, when you do AVR and BIR, you automatically get VS as we have obtained. Secondly, IS equal to CVR plus DIR. So if it is IR, where is IR? So if it is IR, since IR again in same phase with DIR more or less, so IR and DIR are same. So along with we should add CVR. Along with we shall add CVR, right? So if we add CVR here, then resultant will be the IS. So in this way, we can get the phasor diagram, we can draw the phasor diagram. So if you, in phasor diagram, you should show all the component of that phasor diagram. Now the same problem, if we solve using circuit, then IC1 is given there, right? And IR we can get from here. VS we can get, VSLL we can get. As I have explained, I am not reading this out. IC2 we can get. So IS equal to I plus IC2. So in this way we can get. When we are using the ABCD parameter, then what are the circuit service phasor component? VS equal to AVR plus BIR, right? So the phasor component will be AVR and BIR, right? Similarly, IS equal to CVR plus DIR. So the phasor component will be CVR and DIR. You should not draw only ISIR and VSVR in phasor diagram. But when we draw circuit solution, then we know the every value. Okay, IR, IC1, IC2, VR, voltage drop, VS, all the values we know, right? So from there, if we calculate, actually I have given the detailed calculation again, you will see if we calculate direct from the circuit or from ABCD parameter, there is no such deviation in result. Anyway, so this much we can calculate. Then for voltage regulation, when we are calculating from circuit, then we shall not use magnitude of Vs by A for voltage regulation. So for voltage regulation, we shall make IR 0. Then we have to recalculate the VR no load. How we can calculate VR no load? From IR equal to 0. Okay. So from there, Vs equal to VR no load plus IC1Z. Vs is now known. Vs is the previous quantity. So from there, we can calculate the VR no load. Then we can apply it to voltage regulation equation. We shall get near to the same result. So now if we want to draw the phasor diagram, now the component will not be AVR plus BIR, but it will be VR will be VS will be equal to VR plus IZ, IS will be equal to IC plus IR plus IC2. So actually this VS will be VR plus IZ directly, and IS will be whatever be the IR, I do not know whether you can understand or not. From IR, we shall add IC1, then IC2, then we can get finally IS. And with VR, we shall directly add IZ, then we can get VS. So component for ABCD from ABCD parameter and from the direct solution are not same. You must practice to draw the phasor diagram. Now the next is, you must interrupt me if you do not understand. Then what is this? This is a performance calculation of long transmission line. Long transmission line is comparatively difficult as compared to the short or medium transmission line, because here line length is greater than 240 kilometer, voltage and power level are high. So in that case we cannot consider the capacitors or other parameters as the lumped or concentrated at any point. We have to always calculate the uh, distributed form, right? And for this one, if we get any equivalent model from for this distributed form, then that is called equivalent pi model, or no, or the equivalent t model. Okay, where we use the same exact modeling of the transmission line. Now let us consider a very small infinitesimal length of a line at a distance x from the receiving end. We are measuring distance from the receiving end at a distance x. We are measuring a small length of the line dx. Here I have shown you bigger length to make you understand only. Actually dx tends to 0. Then it is like this. If we represent in the as a differential form, so actually if you are assuming a line segment at a distance x from the receiving end, then if when it cross that like line segment, voltage will increase by dv, current will be increased by di. Why voltage and current will be increased? Because of from sending end to receiving end there will be a voltage drop. So if we proceed from receiving end to sending end and under normal continuous or operating condition, then there will be voltage rise. And there are capacitor in the system. So from the receiving end to sending end, the current will rise. So if we assume di is 0, say at first we assume there is no change in current through this uh, infinite small length of the line. So if there is no change in current, means there is no di, di is 0. So there is only change in V. So here through this through this small impedance of that with dx, the current is I. What was initially? Initially the current was changing with it. Through it, current has been changed from I plus di to I. Through it, voltage has been changed from V plus dV to V. Here we assume that the current change is 0 because the length is very small and we are assuming that is tending to 0. So if it reach 0, then di will be 0 because then it will be 1 point. So from there, if di equal to 0, then obviously if di equal to 0 means shunt branch is not there, and that means this branch has been shifted toward the left hand side of that this one, because then only the di can be 0. It should be shifted here, then only the di can be 0, otherwise not. That's why we can modify the model as I have seen shown in the next slide, right? Now, if we here we want to find out the expression of dv, then dv is nothing but I into z dx. So dv is not nothing but z dx into I. From there we can get the expression of dv dx. Similarly, if we assume dv equal to 0, then that means there is as if no voltage drop. That means whatever the voltage here is same, then obviously I will be in this side, right? Then obviously what is di? Di will be y dv. So dy will be y dv. So in this way we can get the two expression di dv, dv dx and di dx. So dv dx and di dx is the variation of voltage and current with respect to distance, not time. Okay, distance measured from the receiving end. So we have got these two expression. So from there, if we differentiate equation 1 again, then we can get d2v dx equal to z di dx. So di dx is yv, so we can replace it. Now you know for differential equation, if it is d2y dx to equal to my, then we can write that y equal to a1 into the power root over mx plus a2 to the power root over minus mx. I hope you can understand. So in that way, similarly, Here we are getting d2v dx to equal to yzv. Then what will be the v? V will be a1e root of this equation, so root over yz into x plus a2e to the power minus root over yz into x. So this is, what is this expression? This is the here we have not used any time varying quantity. We are using KCL KVL for the normal circuit. That means this V is the RMS value of the voltage at a distance x from the receiving end. That means voltage is changing exponentially from receiving end to sending end, and it has two components. One is gradually increasing, another is gradually decreasing. Similarly, if we would write it for current, I equal to 1 by z dv dx, so this will be the expression. So we can write the expression in this way: 1 by z root over yz, so it will be root over y by z at the outside. So you have got two equations. Equation 4 and 5. You can see there are two parameters here we have got. One is yz, one is z by y. You do not write here, actually we have got root over yz, but instead of that we shall take the root over z by y. That means 1 upon of this parameter, right? Are you understanding? Would you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So that parameter root over yz is called gamma, and root over z by y is represented by zc, right? Then equation 4 and 5. So this root yz we can write gamma by writing in short. So in that way, equation A1, 4 will be, the voltage equation will be A1 e to the power gamma x plus A2 e to the power minus gamma x, and current equation will be 1 by Zc, because here there was root over y by z, but we are using Zc equal to root over z by y. So that's why 1 by Zc, A1 e to the power gamma x minus A2 e to the power minus gamma x. These two equations we have got. But we have to solve the A1 and A2. Gamma and Zc we know, because we know y and z. For unit, y is the per unit admittance of the line, z is the per unit impedance of the line. So from there we can calculate gamma or zc. Okay, but a1 a2 are unknown, we have to calculate it. We can calculate it from the initial condition when x equal to 0. That means we have measured x from the receiving end. That means when x equal to 0, then v equal to vr, I equal to ir. Then from equation 6 and 7, we can get a1 a2 equal to this, and a1 minus a2 equal to this. See, if we solve for a1 a2, we shall get a1 equal to this much, a2 equal to this much. So now all the parameters of equation 6 and 7 are known except x. So if we put the value of x, we can find out the RMS value of voltage and current at any distance x from the receiving end of that particular transmission line. And here we have not used any approximation in transmission line modeling. We have used the exact representation. We have taken a very small length of the line, and that has used for voltage current equation, and that length is tends to 0. At that condition we have derived this expression. So we have used the all the condition of the actual transmission line. So this type of expressions are called rigorous expression. This type of solution are called rigorous solution. You may find this term in books. So if we put a1 a2 in the expression, then simply this one, if we separate VR and IR ZC, then with the VR you can see the function is e to the power gamma x plus e to the power gamma x by 2. So it is actually cos hyperbolic gamma x. Similarly, second part is sin hyperbolic gamma x. So simply V equal to VR cos hyperbolic gamma x plus IR ZC sin hyperbolic gamma x. Similarly, for current we shall get VR by ZC sin hyperbolic gamma x, IR cos hyperbolic gamma x. Now, if x is the length of the line L, then obviously when x is the length of the line, then V equal to Vs, I equal to Is. So we can write that too. So this is the equation may be comparable with the ABCD parameter of the line. So using ABCD parameter, these are the ABCD parameter expression. So from there we can get A and D equal to cos hyperbolic gamma L, B equal to JC sin hyperbolic gamma L, and C equal to 1 by JC sin hyperbolic gamma L. Now cos hyperbolic gamma L, sin hyperbolic gamma L, all are unitless, right? Now the ZC is actually root over Z by Y. We have assumed that. So actually it is an impedance, so it is in ohm. So 1 by ZC will be in mho. So we can, the units are matching perfectly, right? And here also AD minus BC is cos square hyperbolic gamma L minus sin square hyperbolic gamma L, so it is 1. So long transmission line is also a reciprocal network, and A equal to D, so it is a symmetrical network, right? Now there are some information. Please wait for a 1 minute. I have to attend a phone call. So we have got this, that a long transmission line is also a reciprocal network and symmetrical network, but it has very complex equations. The cos hyperbolic gamma L, is calculation is not so easy because gamma are the complex quantity, root over y by z, root over yz is a complex quantity, right? For that reason. Now, what is gamma? Gamma is called the propagation constant. There is specific purpose to name this variable in this way. Anyway, gamma is root over yz, so y is g plus j omega c. That's shunt parameter of the transmission line per unit length, and z is r plus j omega l, series parameter of the line per unit length. So if we root this one, then it will be a complex number. So it will be alpha plus j beta. You can write this real part as alpha, imaginary part as j beta. But you must remember, this root over of any complex number cannot be done directly in calculator. In modern calculator it may be there, but you must try that one. Otherwise we have to make the root of magnitude, and we have to halve the angle to find out the root over. Alpha is called attenuation constant. Its name is, its unit is Neper. And beta is called phase shift constant. Its unit is radian per meter. Characteristic impedance is the root over z by c. So z by y, sorry. Then r plus j omega will be numerator, g plus j omega c will be in denominator. Now there is one term, lossless. The loss is 1 watt, then obviously its loss is negligible as compared to the power transfer. So that is called the lossless transmission line. So R and G are generally neglected. So this is the lossless transmission line. So what will happen to propagation constant and characteristic impedance for lossless transmission line? At first, if we go for propagation constant, then R and G part will not be there. So simply it will be j omega root over LC. So it is the only the imaginary part, j beta will be there. Or in short, for lossless transmission line, beta equal to omega root over LC. But that will not be the case for the lossy line. That means where loss is not negligible or near to 5%. Similarly, for characteristic impedance Z by Y, so will be simply R L by C, right, in ohm. And for when we calculate the ABCD parameter for long line, so if we want to calculate cos hyperbolic alpha plus j beta L, then we have to calculate it by separating the real and imaginary part. Cos hyperbolic gamma alpha L cos beta L plus j sin hyperbolic alpha L sin beta L. So you have to follow this equation, right? This is wrong here. Now, what is characteristic impedance? Characteristic impedance, I have already told, ZC is called characteristic impedance or surge impedance. It is root over Z by Y, or this one. So, for lossless line, ZC equal to this one. So, if we put the expression of three-phase transmission line with balanced circuit, then inductance per unit length is this much and capacitance per unit length is this much. Now, if you put this one in the expression and approximately assume that R dash equal to R, because R dash is 0.7788 R, so if we approximate that one, then we will get ZC equal to 377 ohm. So generally for three-phase transmission line, single circuit line, we take ZC near to the 400 ohm. It is the one convention. Then there is one term, surge impedance loading. You may notice that the name of ZC is characteristic impedance or surge impedance. Now in transmission line, there is one term, surge impedance loading. What is that? Surge impedance loading or SIL is the when receiving end is loaded with ZC. If receiving end is loaded with the value of an impedance same to characteristic impedance, then it is called surge impedance loading. So it will be 3 V square VR square by ZC, where VR is in kV and ZC is in ohm, right? Obviously VR is in phase. Now you know at any point of the transmission line, what is the inductive capacitive var? I square omega L. What is the capacitive reactive var? V square omega C. Is not it? Now if any case, if the inductive capacitive var is equal to the inductive reactive var be equal to capacitive reactive var, then what will happen? I square omega will be equal to V square omega C. In that case, we will get V by I equal to ZC. That means if the receiving end is loaded with this impedance, then at every point of the transmission line, V by I will be equal to ZC, and in that case, inductive reactive power will be equal to capacitive reactive power. That means there will be no reactive power deficit or surcharge in the line. If there be any reactive power deficit or surcharge in the line, then it affect the voltage drop. So if we can balance it, then the voltage drop problem will go, right? So in that way, characteristic impedance loading or surge impedance loading is always preferable. So there will be no longer deficit or surplus of reactive power in case of seal. So seal is this one. Now, what happened for a transmission line, if we load it with seal, then actually what happened, the value of seal is very low. Say if we want to transmit a 40-50 megawatt power through a transmission line for a particular distance, you may see that for all aspects, the transmission line can serve the purpose. But if you want to make that 50 megawatt as seal of the transmission line, then it will not that. The seal of the transmission line is much low. So what we have to do? We have to change the transmission line only to make that seal equal to 50 megawatt. Otherwise, you have to take some other means. So that's why it is very difficult to transmit a power equal to seal through a transmission line. Theoretically, it is ideal, but if we send it, it will not be so much economically viable. So it may be seen that for if we want to send 50 megawatt, in that case 20 megawatt power is technically correct, but according to seal. But we have to find supply 50 megawatt. That means we have to cross the rule. So in that way, We have to improve seal. Otherwise, it will not be economically viable. So that's why we can what we can do. Seal equal to 3 B square by ZC. So we can use higher transmission voltage. But transmission voltage also have some limit. You cannot make transmission voltage infinite. So that is also a limit. Along with that, what we can make reduce ZC. Now ZC reduction of ZC has two part. Reduction of ZC means in reduction of L or in the increment in C. So either we can reduce L or we can increase C. So in this two way we can improve. So reduction is in effective L we can use by using series capacitive compensation. So this is the normal transmission line. So here if we use a series capacitive compensation so that a negative in reactance is directly added to the inductive reactance, then we can reduce the effective inductive reactance. So this is called series compensation. Along with that, if we want to increase C, so if we want to increase this C, then what we have to do? We have to insert more capacitor in parallel, because parallel combination of capacitors are additive. So in that case, we shall add it in parallel. So that is called shunt compensation. So using series or shunt compensation, we can improve the seal. So increase the C by using shunt capacitive compensation. So both these ways possible. Have you understood? Have you understood? So actually now what happens? So when we shall apply this compensation, when there is a heavy loading condition, we want to increase the load. Otherwise, it is not required. So the compensation, this type of compensation is required only when we need to improve the power transfer. When obviously there is no need of compensation, improvement in skill. Now, if the line, so that for the long transmission line, its capacitive effect is quite actual. Now, in that case, if the load is shown by somehow or the load become low somehow, then it affect the performance of the transmission line. Situation may arise when receiving end voltage become more than sending end voltage. So that is called Ferranti effect. Why does it happen? It happened due to the capacitive effect of the due to the capacitive current flowing through the transmission line capacitors. So this is the line, say, for the ease of understanding, we are assuming there is only one capacitor at the receiving end, right? Now there is only one current. So line current is flowing. So that line current, what will be the drop in this line, right? So the line current here, the line current is more or less 90-degree leading from the due to this capacitor. This line current drop across the capacitor, across the resistor, in addition to across the reactance, will make the Vs lesser than Vr. So what will happen actually? Actually, say you have set a voltage equal to 135 kV to receive the voltage at 132 kV at receiving end. Now somehow at a load, set a particular load 25 megawatt at receiving end. Somehow load has been reduced to 0 or some load has been reduced to 1 megawatt. Then in that case, it may happen that receiving end current may be so low as compared to the capacitive current flowing to the line, the net effective current become capacitive. So in that case, for that 135 volt kV voltage set in the at the sending end, receiving end voltage will be now higher than 135 kV. which was initially 132 kV when there was load. So there will be voltage rise that will create the insulation issue. Insulation may melt, insulation may fail. So that is also important. When there will be a load throw, current should not be capacitive. In that case, this type of thing will happen. So how we can control that one? In that case, obviously we shall connect an inductor here. So that capacitive effect can be neglected. Current may be purely resistive or to some extent inductive, so that voltage at receiving end will not exceed the voltage at sending end. So this is the Ferranti effect. So when if we use any power factor of load, then this will be the case. In this case also, the same thing can happen. So remedy is the shunt inductive compensation, right? So yeah, what will be the reactive compensation now? Here, instead of using an inductor, a capacitor, we shall use the inductor. So compensation means actually the modifying the reactive power. For the heavy loading condition, when we are not able to reach the SIL, then we shall use series capacitor to compensate series inductance of the line, or shunt capacitor to increase the shunt capacitance of the line. But during no load or low load condition, when voltage at receiving end become higher than sending end voltage, then it may create insulation failure in the at the receiving end. So to overcome that, we use the shunt inductive compensation. Shunt means parallel, inductive means we shall connect the inductance. That's all for today. If you have any question, then you can ask me. Okay, then. Thank you.